My name is Cecilia. The effect of gentrification leads to small businesses being closed down because big businesses takes over to get rid of the competition.
The culture of my neighborhood is being altered.
People are moving away because they can't afford their rent. And what's this history coffee shop doing in my neighborhood?
Some landlords are racist and won't sell or rent an apartment to people of color.
My old friends moved away, now I do not see them anymore.
An art store just opened up around the corner and people are trying to buy my house.
I feel angry because people are being forced to leave their homes.
The rent is too damn high. Stop displacing low-income families. Stop taking our culture away.
They say they're making the neighborhood better, but the same way they're destroying it. What's the piano district? It's called My Haven.
This is what we call the Columbus effect. Gentrification is a trend in urban neighborhoods which results in increased property values and the displacing of lower-income families and small businesses. This is a common and controversial topic in urban planning. It refers to the shifts in an urban community lifestyle and an increasing share of wealthier residents and/or businesses and increasing property values.
When you look up the definition of redlining, it states to refuse a loan or insurance to someone because they live in an area deemed to be of poor financial risk. But this is merely the word in plain definition. This word means so much more to the people it affects. It is like a bad seed, a curse placed among those portrayed as little or nothing in the eyes of high society's money. Government would conduct a census report. If one family of color moved into a neighborhood, property values would decrease, and it would be seen as an unpleasant place to live. This is how they determine what areas would be redlined. In communities such as the Bronx that have been placed under redlining, people were forced to live in an area that received little to no funding or attention to prosper by government. Bronx residents were forgotten. I feel the government did this because they didn't want competition like small businesses, and they didn't want to see people of color prosper.
What piano district? Changing the name of the neighborhood is like erasing history off the face of the planet. That's exactly what Keith Rubenstein is trying to do to the South Bronx. Keith Rubenstein is a developer who plans to build skyscrapers along the waterfront. So he believes that rebranding the Bronx will bring a new flow of potential clientele for his buildings, therefore gentrifying the neighborhood. Keith also threw a Halloween party in Mott Haven to introduce a new upper class to what he calls a piano district. And his way of transitioning the South Bronx to the piano district was to make fun of the South Bronx and use a stereotype as a punchline, creating two sculptures, one of a car full with bullet holes and one of a trash can lit with fire, as if crime and poverty was something to make mockery of. As a young artist from New York, this type of rebranding is unacceptable and should not be tolerated. Because as a community, we can help each other and better ourselves. And we need to realize that we could fix our community ourselves, and we don't need somebody from the outside to fix it.
In order for gentrification to thrive, people living in an area have to be forcibly removed, thereby draining the neighborhood of its culture and productivity as a community. I call this whitewashing. When a color of dominance moves into a neighborhood, gentrifying the area, rent prices go up. New structures are built, and hipster coffee shops are opened. My triptych shows the life of a young girl living the process of gentrification. This bright piece of art is made with charcoal. It represents a black woman in an area that has been deemed unworthy and unfit to thrive by government, and is seen as a broken down and shattered. In the second painting, gentrification is now under construction. Buildings are being created, a new look is being started. Yet the woman stays in her home and she begins to slowly lighten. As she lightens, she begins to get sad, contradicting the fact that lighter is better. In the last piece, the same woman is shown. Only now she is crying, because although the world around her looks beautiful and everything fits perfectly into place, This woman is in a constant struggle to preserve her home, community, and culture.
My name is Michaela, and I am speaking on behalf of Christopher, who made this work behind me. In my piece, you're in a museum looking at 3 different artworks. The painting on the left shows that creativity is all you need to make art possible. The painting in the center shows 2 large buildings and a house. This is meant to represent the standards of gentrification. The painting on the far right is by a well-known surrealist artist named Magritte. I chose this image because it's all about seeing. People often don't see gentrification as it's happening in their neighborhoods. It's sneaky. Or when people do see it, they see it as improving their neighborhoods. Gentrification is affecting many cities across the United States right now, and right here in the South Bronx. This isn't fake like a painting. This is real.
In my piece, a puppeteer is controlling people of color, while non-people of color are moving around freely. This demonstrates that in gentrification, there is always a person or a government that is controlling who stays in or out of their city, village, or borough, or in other words, their playground. The government and developers kick out the people of color by raising rents as well as shutting down small businesses. People see gentrification as a way to kick out the bad people from an area and let the nice ones come in. Gentrification not only kicks out people of color, it kicks out their culture as well. The people in control want to kick out people of color in order to please the target audience, which is the white people who stand to profit the most. I found the topic of gentrification also relating to the Trail of Tears, because the 7th President of the United States, Andrew Jackson, forcibly moved the Native Americans from their homes to the western parts of America in order to gain more land for the whites. History repeats itself. What will happen next?
My name is Cecilia, and I'm stepping in for Sunu. She was unable to make it in today. Gentrification plays a large role in changing the area of poverty, straight neighborhood in New York, particularly those in Bronx. The Bronx is a home to many people from all walks of life, and little by little, their home is becoming someone else's home. Small businesses, old apartment buildings, empty lost, or even in-use apartments are being sold for replaced by high-priced apartment complex and franchised. Sometimes these changes can push the resident out, leaving them in a bad situation. I want to be able to depict both sides of the gentrification story. On one hand, there are people who are to believe they are making a change for the better when they are truly the cause of problem. While on the other hand, there are those who are deeply affected by this change and can see what they are losing from their community. Open your eyes for an audience to view the Bronx through the eyes of the camera lens. Raw and unbiased photos. Interpret this photo as you want, but keep in mind what change have you seen recently or even over the years.
My pop-up show is before and after effect of gentrification. I have seen my grandma neighborhood change a lot with new businesses, buildings, and schools. Who is this for? This affected me because I couldn't see my old friends and they have to move because the rent is too high. People are happy in their neighborhood and they want to stay, but we have power to change the end of this story.
My painting shows a woman with a concerning expression on her face while she is holding her child. The woman is afraid of losing her apartment. She knows it may not be the best living space, yet the rent adds up her monthly income. This mother is dealing with the responsibility of being a young parent and is now carrying the added stress of possibly losing her home. Gentrification brings fear and confusion for many people and makes it harder and harder for low-income families to live stability.
What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word gentrification? You know what comes to my mind? Eminent domain. Eminent domain gives the government the right to buy a piece of property for the public use. What does it have to do with gentrification? Well, just like how there are landlords who are extremely racist, there are people who will take eminent domain for an excuse to make private property. So this is what my painting represents, the people who take advantage of eminent domain. What made me make this painting was the fear of someone taking my home for their selfish needs. There are a few who respect eminent domain, but still affect us by taking our homes without negotiation of what the property is worth.
A video animation shows a building being torn down to have a new complex built in its place. This represents how a lot of people are suffering if the big changes that are happening in our community. Landlords kick out their tenants and raise their rent so they can no longer live there. New big box stores and businesses bring in all the money, while the small businesses are forced to close down. Some people may see gentrification as a good thing. Having all these big name brand stores and fancy restaurants may seem like a great thing on the outside. But on the inside, they're slowly ruining all the small businesses that help build the community we all know and love. We have to stay strong and fight for our communities.
Gentrification is the gradual disruption and displacement of a neighborhood and its people. The process is unrelenting and unforgiving. People who originally inhabited an area are forced to make space for more privileged people who are deemed to have more financial worth. It is too easy to forget that the neighborhood being displaced is more than just a bunch of figures and dollars. These neighborhoods are childhood, friends and families, jobs, traditions, cultures, and most of all, they are homes. Gentrification is an absolute takeover of homes. In my first piece, made with oil paint and a collage of neighborhoods in the Bronx and Brooklyn, shows this disruption. For my second piece, I wanted to get a bit more personal and give a look into my own home in the Bronx. I notice every day that the surrounding area is changing to appear more appealing to higher class outsiders. Beneath all the urbanization and renovation, however, are real people like my mother, who I painted holding a mango. The mango and colors in this painting of our kitchen represent our culture and attachment to our home.
This piece is titled Culture for Sale. My painting focuses on how gentrification affects our community. The girl in the room represents a community and culture and how exposed and vulnerable gentrification makes them. The man looking through the window represents both prowling effects of gentrification and how upper middle class white people now want to live in the hood because it's trendy. I also wanted to play with the idea of the girl being on display for the rich to see. They could never put their feet in our shoes because they choose to slum it down in the hood, while most people don't have the choice. So when white people are making mockery of how I have to live for their latest Instagram posts, I'm using it as a subject and asking, how is this supposed to make everyone else feel? The Bronx Art Collective participants made 10 reasons why we would like to stay in the Bronx or any other newly gentrified communities. 1, it's our right to stay.
2, we want to help our community.
3, we want to fight for our rights.
4, we call this place home.
5, we've been through this too much, and we've been through too much to leave, and we refuse to give up.
6, we have pride and love.
7, there's nowhere else to go.
8, we don't want to appease our oppressors.
9, we want to preserve our communities and cultures.
And 10, we have made unbreakable bonds.
And now we have something for you guys to do. We would like to hear from you and what you think about gentrification and why is it important to stay from the Bronx. What's beautiful about the Bronx? Under your chair there's clouds and markers, and we would like for you guys to take a couple minutes to think and put it on the cloud. Okay, so now that you have some time to write in your clouds, we'd like to hear back from a couple of you guys.
One thing I love about the Bronx is that the whole world, in all of its cultures, exists, live, and thrive here.
I grew up here my whole 56 years, and my childhood was every day playing outside until the street lamps came on, and it was time to go home.
Okay, thank you. Last person?
I was born here, and I like the multicultural and the diversity of the people. We have a lot of mixed generations.
Thank you. So, Please leave your clouds underneath your seats. We will be collecting them at the end, and we'll be placing them in our gallery. So thank you for watching our presentation.